on this day. I'm hoping that you're having a lovely weekend. So thank you so much for joining me and a very warm welcome. So today was the Trooping of the Colour in the UK. And for those of you who know, this is an event where they get to celebrate the King's birthday. And as usual, the event was such a disaster because when has anything to do with the royal family, especially the events, ever been successful ever since Queen Elizabeth and the Sussexes left that institution? Everything just seems to be going downhill. Everything seems to be a huge disaster when it comes to these people. And one thing I can tell you for sure is that people are losing interest in this family and they are losing it fast. Anyway, let me take you through what actually happened, all the disastrous events that happened during this Trooping of the Colour, and then I'll also take you through the media's reaction to it. So first of all, as usual, they get booed at. And this time round, it was no exception. So here's the video of Kate Middleton and her kids being booed at as they passed by in their carriage towards Buckingham Palace. So just take a look at this. Now, first of all, this is actually embarrassing. And then second of all, it is sad. It is embarrassing for Kate Middleton, who literally fought 10 years to have Prince William and then have to raise her kids like this. Like every single time they have to go to these royal family events, they get booed at. And then for the sad part is that the kids actually do not look happy at all. And that is a pattern I saw throughout this event. The kids didn't look happy on this carriage, neither did they look happy on that Kensington Palace balcony. This is such a sad life, honestly. They have all the money in the world, but still, that money does not seem to be buying them any kind of happiness. And you can also tell that Kate Middleton was definitely not happy seeing all of those people there booing them and obviously not any kind of cheer around. That must have been really agitating towards her, and her facial expressions obviously showed someone who was very irritated, someone who was really angry towards the people who were booing her. But again, this is the life that she chose, right? Like, this is exactly what Kate Middleton wanted, but yet it doesn't seem like a very fulfilling life. And honestly, I'm just happy for Harry and Meghan because they don't get to go through such kinds of things. They don't get to go through such embarrassments with their kids, people booing at them, people saying nasty things at them because they are freeloaders. So yeah, the Sussexes leaving was just the best thing ever. And another thing is that as you can see, obviously, there were a lot of protesters during this event. And then in another instance, the UK police were literally trying to stop the protesters. And as you can see in this video, the protesters had put up their banner on the barriers, and the police came and took down that banner. They know this is embarrassing, but again, these people are just trying to express themselves. They are the people of the UK, and just like there are people in that event who are in support of the monarchy, who are probably shouting praises towards members of the royal family, there are people who are not in support, and I think their voices should also be heard. And the funny thing is that the UK media will literally convince you that these are just protesters, these are just members of the Republic. But the thing they don't say is that these are members of the British public. These are Brits who are protesting against the royal family and want nothing to do with it. And then also, the UK media tried to acknowledge that there were boos. In fact, there are a couple of headlines acknowledging this, but then there are others who actually tried to downplay the entire thing and just said how people cheered at members of the royal family. But we all know that isn't true at all. So let me read you a couple of headlines acknowledging the boos. For example, the London Evening Standard saying, King and Queen booed by anti-monarchy protesters during the Trooping of the Colour. Then Town and Country, Trooping the Colour met by anti-monarchy protesters once again. And then GB News was like, Trooping the Colour, Republic stage anti-monarchy protests. Yeah, that is actually what happened. But then I saw the same GB News writing another article saying how members of the monarchy were actually greeted with a lot of cheers. Well, to be honest, there weren't a lot of cheers towards these members of the royal family. In fact, the boos outpowered the number of people who were trying to cheer them. What is to be cheered about this family anyway? And I even saw the protesters holding this placard that had a picture of Prince Andrew, and they were still asking King Charles what he knew about the entire thing. And obviously, that family has been covering a lot. Well, they have been covering up a lot when it comes to Prince Andrew. They've been trying to protect him a lot. And right now, people want answers. And then another thing that happened is that the UK media, or the people who are filming this event, didn't actually show the size of the crowd. Like, there isn't a single picture where I've seen the number of crowds at this event, and it just leads me to obviously conclude that the people there were very few, and that is why this time the cameras didn't pan towards the crowd. I remember last year, was it the Trooping of the Colour again? The number of people there were very few. In fact, they were less than 1,000 people, and BBC, who were filming the event that day, spun the cameras so fast across the crowd because they didn't want people to see the number of people there. It was so embarrassing. And I believe this time round they were told, don't you dare to show the number of people who attended this event because it's going to be so embarrassing for these members of the royal family. And one clear indication to me that the people there were actually very few is when the members of the royal family walked towards the balcony, and then you could hear that the camera clicks were actually so loud compared to the cheers or how people were reacting to the royal family walking towards the balcony. That was just a very clear indication that the people there were very, very few. And then another disastrous thing that happened is that King Charles literally forgot that he had to stay for the national anthem. He literally walked away before the national anthem even played. And honestly, it was funny to watch because you could see that Camilla pulled him back and then she was literally laughing. So was Prince William and Kate Middleton. Well, let me just give him the benefit of the doubt. The man is getting old, right? But again, I think he just got so embarrassed by this whole event because right below where they were standing, you could see that there were anti-monarchy protests, and they were holding these placards, again, protesting against these people. So that wasn't a good sight for them, and I think King Charles just wanted to get away from the entire thing. And then another thing is that, apart from these royals lacking any kind of charm or charisma, they were very few on that balcony. I mean, take a look at this picture. They seem like they are less than 10 people on that balcony. And this is the slimmed down monarchy, right? This is what King Charles wanted, and now it doesn't seem like anything is actually working for them because you can see that we have King Charles and his lineage here. Then we have the Duke of Kent on the other side. Honestly, he looks lonely, and I think they should give this man a break. He's been working for far too long, and it has gotten to a time where they need to give him an off day, because if he can work more days than Kate Middleton, then it tells you really that this man has really tried and he needs to just stay away from all of these things. Unless he's doing all of these things willingly, but he needs to take a rest. It's time. And then we have Sophie and Edward on this other side. They are very, very few, and all of them just looked really gloomy. There was nothing to actually get excited over, to the point where the only story the UK media were actually running with concerning this balcony moment is that Prince George sneezed on the balcony. Yeah, that was the point. Well, that was the main story for the UK media. All of them were reporting about how Prince George sneezed on the balcony. So that tells you how the UK media also don't seem to be getting anything from these people. So they have resorted to literally talking about anything. And that is why they can't stop or can't seem to avoid bringing Prince Harry and Meghan into this, because as you can see, the UK media literally have nothing to report about. And even they were complaining about the number of royals on that balcony. For example, just take a look at this headline from the Daily Mail. And they said, quoting, "The King leads slimmed down royals as he's joined by Kate, William and George, Louis and Charlotte on the Buckingham Palace balcony." That is literally all that the UK media had to say, because it is a slimmed down monarchy and it's not looking good. I'm sure the UK media aren't happy about this, obviously, because the leftovers are just so boring. They lack charisma. They lack anything that actually makes this entire thing exciting. And if you remember, the last time there was actually a very exciting moment or an exciting event in that family was during the Queen's Jubilee. That was when so many people came. In fact, Prince Harry and Meghan were present during that event, and the size of the crowd was so huge. The number of royals on that balcony was at least sizable. And maybe King Charles should have been more careful when he wished for a slimmed down monarchy, because this is just terrible. And the left behinds, well, the ones who are on this picture aren't giving it all, and it seems like the UK media are regretting this entire thing. I thought they were the same. They are the same people who were saying Prince Harry and Meghan should go. They need to go. They should never ever come back. But now, looking at this slimmed down monarchy, they are actually regretting their very own words and King Charles's own decisions. This isn't looking good for this royal family, and I think as time goes by, even members of the public completely lose interest in these people. Like, they gradually lose interest in this royal family. The crowd that came to the Queen's Jubilee in 2022 was at least bigger, and then in 2023 the crowd became a bit smaller. In 2024 it was so small, and then 2025 it got even worse, and right now even the media can't show the size of the crowd, because I know it was just a disaster. Anyway, that is it from me today, and as you can see, as I have showed you, it was not good at all over there in the UK. Anyway, that is it from me today, but I'd love to hear what you have to say concerning this. Then I'll see you on the next episode, and I hope you have a lovely day ahead. Goodbye.